Spider-Man, the animated series from 1994. This was, of course, for a lot of people, their childhood Spider-Man. I know it was for me. In terms of like the animated cartoons, of course, there was this and the Spectacular Spider-Man, and a little bit later, the Ultimate Spider-Man as well. But this, I think, was the first Spider-Man cartoon I think I had watched. There was also the new animated series, which had an interesting 3D way of going about things. But this was the original show. Well, of course, there was shows before this, like Spider-Man and like The Amazing Friends and whatnot. But this was definitely one of the highlights, and I think this show is incredible. It has a lot of really funny moments, uh, probably unintentionally. The writing, the dialogue is like really funny, and things can go from 0 to 100 like really quickly. So you kind of like, when you're watching it, you shouldn't be expecting like some really dramatic Shakespearean epic, even though sometimes it does get like that. But some of the moments are just so laugh out loud funny, and I really do. This show really does have a special place in my heart, and I think the cast for the entire show is just so excellent. This show has spawned so many memes, and then the voice acting is it's just so enjoyable. It's such an enjoyable watch. Uh, for me, the Spider-Man voice actor, I believe Christopher Daniel Barnes, he does an excellent job, and I was so happy to see that he had reprised his role as Spider-Man in Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions when he played Spider-Man Noir, which was definitely my favorite character out of that entire lineup. That was just an amazing game, and I loved the levels with Spider-Man Noir. If you ever played it, you know what I'm talking about. And given how popular the Spider-Verse movies have become nowadays, with the first one and the second one just completely just being so popular with like everyone right now, I would really love to see him return in the Spider-Man across the maybe Beyond the Spider-Verse. I believe the third one's going to be called something like that, but it would be really cool to see him reprise his role. And in this show, I just have so many fond memories of this show, and watching it back, it still holds up in my opinion. And I think the action, the acting, it's like the voice acting can get like really raw. I know there's of course, everyone from this show. I think one of the most popular scenes is when he dons. Spoilers for the show. He dons the black suit and he's chasing Shocker around a bell tower, and he exclaims for Shocker that he's going to catch him and chase him to the ends of the earth, and that's definitely one of the best scenes from the entire show, definitely. But there's of course that scene where that that visage of Mary Jane's face vanishes in front of him, and he screams with anguish, "No!" And it's just, oh man, this show is really really enjoyable, and I don't think it gets as much reverence and respect as something like uh, the Batman animated series might get. But this show is definitely a really, really good, solid watch, and I think anyone who watches it would really enjoy it. And for me, this is definitely getting an A. Yeah, this show is really good, and I think everyone will enjoy watching this because it has so many amazing depictions of classic Spider-Man villains. It goes and makes sure to touch on like so many obscure aspects of Spider-Man, in my opinion, and it really introduced me to the idea of Madam Web as well. Of course, we had the Madam Web movie, which I haven't seen, but from what I've heard, it was maybe not as good as people were hoping for. But yeah, this show had Madam Web and did Madam Web really well. And unfortunately, it did kind of drown a little bit in that, like, towards the end, it did kind of end on a cliffhanger.